Thank you very much. It's an honor to be back. I was invited to attend the May 3rd presentation. To be very honest, because I'm an academic, I did not know anything about the BrandLaureate. And when they invited me to give the award, I said, why not? And I came here to change the name of this organization. I would like to see BrandLaureate to become the global BrandLaureate. Since everybody is talking about football, I will give you a few comments about football. Because Korea is an unknown country. The only thing that people know about is Kim Jong-un, North Korea, because he has nuclear weapons and he has a missile system to destroy San Francisco, New York, and Los Angeles. Everybody ignored us. Now, even Donald Trump has to meet with him. And last month, Trump met with Kim Jong-un in Singapore. And one of my goals in the future, even though I'm not a Miss University pageant, world peace. Can we create a world peace? It is possible. Because in Korea, one of the football players, Cha Bong-gun, he said, there is no team that is not beatable. Every single team can be beaten. And we have shown in Germany, the #1 ranking, Korea number 57, actually beat Germany. We had 2% chance of winning, and we made the possibility real. Because I was in Germany 4 years ago in Hanover, and everybody picked Brazil to win. I picked Germany. Why? Because they have a very solid defense. When I was here May 3rd, I predicted Dr. Mahathir will win. Why? Because you cannot buy people with money. You have to give people hope. And you have to give hope, inspiration. That's why I thought he would win. Everybody thought I was crazy, but to be honest, I'm a little bit crazy. So, what can we learn about companies and leaders? One is people who are the world best, like Messi and Ronaldo, they're out of the tournament. Why? Because you need teamwork, creativity, and inspiration. This is something unique about human beings. It's not what you have, but what you can build. So let me introduce yourself. My parents are originally from North Korea. My last name is Kim, so I'm a relative of Kim Jong-un. It's not a joke. Because we started with 5 families in Korea 4,500 years ago. And Kim, there are about 10 million of us. And so my father emigrated to South Korea because he was a Christian and he was persecuted. And he decided he could not adjust to life in South Korea because he was a North Korean and a Christian, so he went to Canada. And so I grew up as an immigrant in Canada. Of course, as a Korean, no one expected me to succeed or speak English. But now I can speak English better than most Canadian, Americans, and British. I can at least give a better lecture. So, just to briefly introduce myself, not just to brag, but just to tell you about my background. I was educated in Canada, received my degree in psychology at University of Toronto and Queen's University. Then I saw a newspaper ad, and my first job is Hawaii. And I taught in Hawaii. Then my colleague at University of Tokyo invited me to come to teach. Why? Because I hated Japanese, because Koreans were persecuted by Japanese. And my mother and my father told me everything bad about Japanese. So I decided, in order to understand why Japanese are terrible people, I went to Japan to teach. And then I learned Japanese people are not all that bad. There's some wonderful people, and there's some not so wonderful people. Then my colleague asked me to return to understand Korean culture. Then in 1989, the other bad people, known as Germans, unified. And I was very interested because Korea was divided by ideology, but we had the same culture. So can we learn something from Germany? So I went there to teach. Then my colleagues said, you should come to Scandinavia. We're the most peaceful and enlightened people in the world. And I told them, you were the Vikings. Yes, that was 1,000 years ago. Now we promote peace. And my colleague in Norway, hey, we represent peace. We gave the Nobel Peace Prize. So I worked with the Nobel Institute and published a book about Islam in which my colleague Shirin Ibadi won the Nobel Peace Prize. Then my colleague in Sweden asked me to come, so I taught in Sweden. And when Soviet Union broke down, my colleague invited me to Poland, so I decided to go there and teach. Then Thailand is something, Southeast Asia, I knew nothing about. So I was invited to teach in Thailand, and next week I'll go there to teach in Thailand. Then Indonesia, because people still have an indigenous way of life. I have 18 research institutes in Indonesia. Then China was opening up, so I taught in Xiamen and in Beijing Normal University. And I teach Chinese about Confucianism, because Chinese don't know anything about Confucianism and Taoism and Buddhism, because Mao Zedong destroyed their culture through Cultural Revolution. So it's interesting, I teach Chinese about Confucianism. I teach Malaysians about Islam, because Islam that you know is not the Islam in terms of the Enlightenment Islam. Then I was a visiting professor at Malaysia, and I'm organizing a conference in Kota Kinabalu. Then Myanmar invited me because they'd never seen a Korean professor. So I got a lecture in Myanmar. Then also, I helped Hanoi University of Technology to develop agreements, and I gave lectures there. In addition to these terrible universities in the United States, it's a joke. Everybody thinks they're wonderful, but they have limitation. And also in London School of Economics, in France, in the Middle East, in Brazil, in Melbourne, Austria, I gave keynote address, Switzerland, Greece. So I traveled around the world because the world is my laboratory. For your reference, 3 star means 1 represents individual, Samsung, 2 represent relationship, 3 represents society. So Samsung wants to conquer the world, which it appears that they have. So 3 in Chinese philosophy represents the world. And one of the things that I did is move from psychology department, which talks about perception of reality, to business school. Because who create reality? Business people create new realities. So I consulted for BASF, the largest chemical company in the world, for 150 years. Stryker, medical equipment and device company from the US. La Poste, logistic company, 600 years old. Pfizer, pharmaceutical company, because Viagra, they ran out of patent. And so they have to develop new medicine, and I did research on pain. Then Samsung, as you may know, LG, I conducted an assessment of 15 different companies. Then I also helped Toyota. Most of you know about Toyota Motors, but that is the most innovative aspect. They build smart homes, because the walls, the hotels are not smart. And I introduced them to Siputra Group, because Mr. Siputra asked me to write a biography about him. So I helped Mr. Siputra to write a biography. Then I helped Toyota to work with PTT in Thailand. In addition, I did standardization of medical instruments for mapping. Then I'm now an advisor for rice exchange, because rice trading is one of the most corrupt, inefficient, and opaque industry. By using blockchain technology, we hope to provide higher income and greater wealth to the farmers and also the consumer. And now I am working as a senior advisor to Peter Drucker, the father of modern management. And the question you ask, why am I doing all these things? How could I do all these things? Well, the most important thing in our organization is people. People are the creative force. But at the same time, people can be very corrupt. You know this in Malaysia. I know this in Korea. So what I do is identify corrupt people, separate them from people who are creative and innovative. Like Dr. Johan. All you have to do is provide a platform, and he will create, he will inspire. And this is why I came back. Because what you have done in Malaysia is wonderful. But in order to sustain this momentum, you have to go global. And this is what I do in terms of helping these companies. So, as a psychologist, I ask this question, where do you live? You might think, oh, I live in Kuala Lumpur or Petaling Jaya. If you live in a world that exists, you're an animal. You are an animal. You know that, right? We're all animals. We're Homo sapiens. What does it mean? Homo means homo. Sapien means wise. As a species, we're wise. But why don't you behave like a bunch of monkeys or orangutans? Why? Because we also live in a world that we are creating. And that's culture. Biologically, we share 99.5% of the genes with everyone else. Only 0.5% separate one individual from another. We're biologically just 1% different from chimpanzees. So our biology makes us the same, makes us similar. What makes us different is culture. The reason I can speak English is I grew up in Canada. If I was born and raised in Malaysia, probably I would speak Bahasa Malay. So culture is the software that makes us different. However, there's a third possibility, world of possibility. The future does not exist. It only exists in our mind. Who will create the new future? These are creative innovators. This is where businesses are. And this is what you have to do to be successful. You have to be creative and you have to be innovative. Otherwise, you will disappear, like many of the companies Dr. Johan mentioned. So, how do you create? Economists predict, management create. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Like Google, Apple, and what Samsung and Benz have done. They created a new future. Now, that is part of our reality. So, one of the first things that you have to ask as an individual or as a company, what is your purpose in life? What do you want to accomplish? Do you want to make money? Do you want to have a comfortable life? I'm sorry, you will be miserable. You have to have a mission that is larger than life. And so this is a question, if you're a businessman, what is your purpose? Why do you work hard? Why do you get up in the morning? And often people do not know why you run an organization, why you own a business. So Milton Friedman, a Nobel laureate, he said, for profit. You start a business, you manage a business to make money. And this is what people believe. Is this correct? And now, Klaus Schwab is talking about the fourth industrial revolution. What is it? It's a technology-based vision. And one of the components is like very different in terms of artificial intelligence, in terms of robotics, in terms of algorithm, nanotechnology, printing. What's missing in the fourth industrial revolution? People. Will technology rule us, or will we create technology? So we have to be very careful what we aspire to. What kind of world you want to create? Do you want to create a world based on technology by engineers? Imagine if there is no song, if there is no music, if there is no art. Would you want to live in that reality? And this is what Rutgers said. The greatest danger in the times of turbulence is not turbulence, but is to act with yesterday's logic. Are you living in the past? Are you using yesterday's logic? Do you follow Milton Friedman, believing that the goal of business is to make money? Then we have Peter Drucker, who is considered the father of modern management. And what is management? Management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right thing. You have to do the right thing as a leader. How do you get people to follow you if you do the wrong thing? And Malaysia experienced it. If the leader tells you the wrong thing, then the country will go down. And you have experience with Petronas, Proton, many of the industries in Malaysia. You have to do the right thing. So all the employees can participate. But you have to do it well. That's what the role of the managers are. And he said, profit is not a cause, but a result. You don't go for profit. Sometimes you don't go for the winning itself. So what is the goal of business? Very simple. The purpose of business is to create and keep a customer. Simple. If you have a customer, then you have a business. If you don't have a customer, then you don't have a business. Sometimes answers are so simple that we forget our direction. So this is my definition of culture. Because if I give you a lecture on culture, it'll take me 8 hours. This is very simple. So it's an exercise because you're falling asleep. So imagine you cannot read English. So name the color. So this would be blue. So why don't we do it together? So blue, red, brown, yellow, red. You're not doing very well. Okay, I'll give you something more difficult. Try this one. This is Korean. So you can try blue, red. You don't have any problem. So I'll give you Bahasa. So try this. I don't read. So this will be you. You're getting worse. Why is it the case? Because written word is artificial. If you don't know English, you will not have any problem. A 2-year-old will not have a problem with this. But once you learn English, it becomes automatic. And this, for Koreans, for me, I have a lot of problem with this. I don't have any problem with this because I don't know Bahasa. And this is what culture is. Culture is the software of the mind. It is as important as physics. So we know how to name color, but once we know how to read, it becomes automatic. And so rather than the notion that we perceive reality directly, what we call objective reality, it doesn't exist. Why? Because reality is constructed through our 5 senses. But the way we do it is almost universal. But reality is also constructed through culture. It has to have meaning. It has to have value. So there is no objective reality. There is only shared reality. And what is reality? Take a canvas, a color, and a brush. You take something physical and you create this. Mona Lisa with her smile. So we can take something physical and make it come alive. This is what we call creativity. And we have to learn how our brain works. Our brain is the most important part of our body. But we don't know how it works. So recent research said brain is a social construction. You don't own your brain. The way your brain works is through socially. So a lot of people thought brain was fixed. And different parts of the brain is responsible for different functions, for language, for intelligence, but it's incorrect. Brain consists of 100 billion neurons connected 100 trillion times. So we only use 10% of our brain. But usually the night before exam or night before the report, you use 20%, right? And your brain works very well. So why don't you use 20% all the time? But it's too tiring. It takes too much energy, and it can be exhausting. But this is what academics do. We learn. And also, brain is separate neurons that is connected and is transmitted. And the notion that you can be rational and objective is incorrect. Whenever there's information that passes through your senses, it goes through the limbic system where emotion is attached. So all information has information and emotion. But we can train people to ignore emotions. And that's what you have in Nazism, when you train people to kill, or in military. But in reality, all information gets connected. And the same stimulus activates information and emotion. And this is how our brain is activated. And the question is how much of the brain you use. One of the problems with aging, do you know why you get dementia? The reason why you get dementia is there is a place called in between neurons that get blocked. And it's called amyloid or tau. And it gets blocked. And do you know how to get rid of this blockage? If you want to live long, and if you don't want Alzheimer's, sleep 8 hours a day. Why? Because at night, your brain cells contract, and all the toxins are removed and flow down your spinal cord to take the toxin away. We know the blood circulation takes out the toxin through your liver and through your kidney. So you need 8 hours of sleep a day. Secondly, you need to eat healthy. Thirdly, you need to exercise. Have aerobic exercise. But this is something that people don't do. You don't exercise, you become very picky, you don't eat well, and as a result, your brain begins to die. And our brain is supposed to last only 60 years, not 90 years. But there are people who live long and who are very creative. So what happens is that your brain can get new connections. So the beauty of the brain is there are so many possibilities. If one part is blocked, it can go another route. So if there's a traffic jam, you can go up through a bypass. So the important thing is you have to learn new language, new skill. You always have to be socially engaged. So if one part of your brain is blocked, you can go another way. And if you use that path frequently, then it becomes as fast.